Greetings, my name is Chamomile and this is an exploration of the entire galaxy sector by sector. Today, we're talking about the Kira sector in the 17th Chrome Shield Command of the trailing sectors of the expansion region. Disappointingly, the Kira sector is not home to any notebooks created by death gods allowing for supernatural killing sprees, but don't give up hope. I'm sure some dark side cult somewhere is working on it. What the Kira sector does have is the planet Kerkoidia? I'm going to pronounce that Kerkoidia, home to the Kerkoidens. Kerkoidia went SEP in the Clone Wars, and there were a lot of Kerkoiden officers in the droid army. Kerkoidia was right on the edge of Separatist space, and the Republic pinched it off pretty early in the war. The hits kept coming for Kerkoidens on nearby planet Plagan, when a CIS tactical droid fragged his Kerkoiden commanding officer to seize control of the armor. In the tactical droid's defense, he did then lead CIS forces to victory on the planet. Nigel 6 is a planet that formed a republic to deal with crime. It doesn't seem like they overthrew a mafia state or an authoritarian government that was in bed with crime or anything, so I guess the planet had no government before the crime problem pushed them to form a republic? That's not totally impossible, because Galactic Republic law would still apply, so it's possible for there to be crime on a planet even if there's no government. Nigel 6 is locally famous for being really strict about laws, and maybe our government was created in response to a crime problem is a story of how that came to be, oversimplified but not necessarily false. Kira sector is also supposedly targeted by slave raids by the Iskalani, the native species of the planet Iskadrel in wild space. I would have covered that planet in my Unknown Regions video, but it's really hard to keep track of what all planets are in the Unknown Regions on account of the unknownness. Anyway, supposedly the Iskalani were attacked by the Empire in retaliation for their slave raids and managed to drive the attacking Star Destroyers off, but with heavy enough losses that they did not pursue the beaten Star Destroyers, and they did stop their slave raids, so the Empire was satisfied. When the Empire fell, the Iskalani sent a slave frigate to conduct a few raids and test the resolve of the New Republic, and according to some versions of the story, this frigate was sent to Kira sector, which is why they came up while I was researching this sector. The spacers they abducted were able to regroup, break out, and disable the frigate. According to other versions of the story, the abducted spacers were captured in wild space, and the Iskalani were going to extract the location of New Republic worlds from the navigation logs on the ship to launch an invasion, and the galaxy was saved from subjugation to a cyborg army by those brave spacers. You can see why these elevated stakes make the story more compelling, but the idea that one planet was going to take on the entire New Republic is ridiculous, and the idea that the Iskalani could simultaneously be advanced enough to pose a threat to the New Republic while also not being able to find out where the New Republic is without stealing that information is even more ridiculous. Republic space is huge. The only way the Iskalani could possibly have missed it is if they basically never leave their home system. If the Iskalani are even real, the story that they sent a slaver frigate to Kira sector to abduct some spacers makes way more sense than this one planet being poised to subjugate the entire galaxy, but their entire plan of conquest fell apart because one of their ships got blown up. On the other hand, I don't find the idea that some captured spacers blew up an Iskalani frigate to be far-fetched at all, particularly since this story doesn't involve any rebel celebrities. My favorite line about Lazarian 4 that I found in my research on this sector is, "The humans of Lazarian 4, known as Lazarians, discovered space travel fairly early during their technological development." Lazarian 4 isn't the human homeworld, so yeah, I'll bet they did. Lazarian 4 is also home to the Aquin, a sentient aquatic snaky eel-y sort of species. The Aquin live pretty deep underwater, and the militant, xenophobic Lazarians believed they were sea monsters who maybe didn't even exist, although that second one in particular sounds more like bigoted delusion than sincere mistake to me. If you were actually uncertain as to whether or not an underwater civilization existed or not, you would send a submarine to check. We're talking about entire cities here, not one elusive sea monster. Regardless of how sincere the Lazarians' disbelief in the Aquin's very existence was, the planet technically became an Imperial remnant after the Battle of Jakku. Unlike most Imperial remnants, this was one planet, not an entire oversector, but King Alaric X remained loyal to the Empire despite most of Chrome Shield going rebel, even before the formal establishment of the New Republic. Lazarian 4 is enough of a flyover planet that the New Republic wasn't sending Admiral Akbar to resolve the issue, but King Alaric's daughter, Princess Irina, led a secret splinter faction of New Republicans. As Imperial remnants in 14th Red Tails and 15th Hook Nebula quickly disintegrated into independent systems, Alaric was isolated while Irina had plenty of friends and supporters in nearby systems, so unsurprisingly, her rebellion won out over her father in the end and brought Lazarian 4 into the Republic.